In Victor's office, Michael updates his former boss on his falling out with Kane, who wants a yes man. He insists the game is afoot, and it's their move. Baldwin is stunned to see Jack walk in. Jack explains that a common enemy has taken precedence over their rivalry. Victor sniffs that he hasn't yet agreed to becoming allies. Jack suggests he consult his advisor, Michael. It's made clear that Victor still doesn't trust Baldwin, or Jack. The two men work to convince the Newman that working together is the right answer in this moment. Jack reports that Jill is coming into town tomorrow. He's sure she'll help them with Kane. Michael and Victor remind him how fond she is of Kane. Jack argues she doesn't know Ashby's plans. She'll get him in line. Debate ensues as Jack reminds them Chance died on Kane's property. She's already halfway there. Michael fears Kane will feel isolated if Jill turns on him. Victor explains that's when he will screw up and become vulnerable. Surprised, Jack asks the mustache if he's come around to the idea of teaming up. At the park, Kyel persists in ranting at Claire about spending time with Holden, who is a player. Claire needs time to see who she is and what she wants. Of her and Holden, he sneers. "What it's not like that," she snaps. "It's none of your business what it's like," she retorts. This finally shuts him up. They resume arguing, and Kyel condescends to Claire by suggesting she's falling into a trap set by the charming and smooth Holden. Claire insists it's not a romantic escapade and makes a dig about him and Audra in France. Kyel fumes. This is about revenge. "Well done, Claire," he applauds. "Victor would be so proud." Claire accuses her ex of trying to make her feel bad about doing something she wants to do. Kyel denies it, prompting Claire to go over her childhood for the umpteenth time. She declares that Holden is her friend, and she's going off to live her life and learn something about herself. Kyel inanely asks, "Why can't you do that with me?" Claire says she has to experience real life away from him. As things escalate, Audra happens along and watches as Claire lashes out about Kyel lying to her about his time in France. He's being a hypocrite and needs to let her be. Kyel hollers about her being alone with another guy who is pretending to be her friend. Claire accuses him of being jealous. This is about his ego. Kyel reminds Claire that she's naive and asks if Holden told her he's interested in her. Claire smirks. "Do you have any idea how you sound right now?" Kyel screams, "Why are you being so blind?" Claire lets him know how much damage he's done today and stalks off. Audra sidles up to Kyel, smirking. At Crimson Lights, Lauren tells Nikki she needs her help. "Has Victor brought Michael back in? Is that why my husband is suddenly working for Kane?" They go over the estrangement between Michael and Victor, and Kane offering Baldwin a job. Lauren's sure Ashby wants her husband to take the fall for him. Nikki asks why she thinks Victor is involved. Lauren says Michael denied it, but she knows he was lying. Nikki admits they may have found an excuse to reunite. They go over how brutal Victor is to Michael, and Nikki likens the Baldwin to a third son, claiming he's the same way with Adam and Nick. Changing the temperature, Lauren fumes that Nikki is as guilty as Victor is if she just turns a blind eye and lets this all happen. Nikki stares at her pal in shock. Lauren reminds Nikki that Michael walked away from Victor because he was tired of his viciousness toward Jack. Nikki protests. She's begged Victor to get past his hatred for the abbot. She cannot change his mind. Is she supposed to leave him? She loves the man the same way Lauren does Michael. Invoking the D word from Bold and Beautiful, Nikki declares those two stubborn men are their destiny. Lauren cries that she's just so tired and asks Nikki to find out what's going on for her. At Victor's office, Michael speculates that Kane's AI may be all talk. Jack and Victor manage to agree that they can't take that risk. The mustache grunts that they'll see how things go when Jill arrives. Jack and Michael marvel that he's signaling an alliance. Later, when Nikki arrives, Victor tells her, "You just missed Jack Abbott." She learns that Jill will arrive tomorrow. Nikki tells her husband that she ran into Lauren, who is concerned about Michael working for Kane. Victor correctly guesses that Fenmore is actually worried that Michael's back with him. Nikki asks if it's true. Victor plays dumb with Nikki, who declares that he's impossible, kisses him, and trots off. Next, Victor takes a call from Jack, wondering if he got cold feet due to Michael's concerns. The Newman assures him everything is on track and disconnects. At society, Michael meets up with Lauren and wonders about the twinkle in her eye. His wife insists it's just love. As they move on to small talk about wedding gowns, she steps away to take a call from Nikki, who says Victor's stonewalling her, but she feels Lauren is right and something is going on between Michael and Victor. Lauren rejoins her husband and confronts him. "Once again, you've lied to me." Michael admits he spoke to Victor again, but insists it doesn't matter because Kane fired him. Lauren forces him to confess that if Kane hadn't let him go, he'd once again be working for Victor. She hisses, "This never ends," and storms out. At Crimson Lights, Claire replays the scene with Kyel in the park in her head, tears up, and spills her coffee. At the park, Kyel tells Audra to keep walking. Audra taunts that she can't leave him in misery. It wouldn't be nice. Sitting beside him, she snarks about him and Claire not making up. Kyel counters that she has no job and no Nate. They debate who created this drama. Audra points out that Kyel had free will. She thinks Victor was right about him all along. Kyel tells Audra she's poison. She needles that he's obsessed with her, reminding him he couldn't stop kissing her. Kyel rants about this illusion she has that she's irresistible. He, Nate, and Holden have had her and moved on. Audra smiles. "Yeah, to your would-be wifey." Suddenly, it dawns on Audra that she succeeded in proving Kyle's not worthy of Claire's love. Victor should give her the reward that he promised. Kyel, looming over her, warns that if she tries to profit off the damage she caused, he'll stop at nothing to take her down. She'll wish she'd never met him. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, Pulse Canvas. It's me, Julie here. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Keep watching. So let's dive into today's video. The Young and the Restless, spoilers for Thursday, October 2nd, 2025, have Jill returning home to settle unfinished business with Billy and Kane, Lily and Amy finding common ground, and Audra asking Nate for a second chance. Jill is coming back to Genoa City to settle some unfinished business. On Thursday's show, watch for her to make her presence known as she returns to interact with Billy and Kane. When Kane first came to town years ago, he claimed that Jill was his mother. Kane knew that was a lie, but Jill accepted him as her own. Once the truth came out, it was difficult for those feelings to be turned off by either party. Kane is poised to destroy several families in Genoa City. Jill may be the only person who can turn the tide. Lily and Amy have both been touched by death over the course of their lives. Lily lost her parents, Neil and Drusilla. Amy had to bury her son, Damien, not that long ago. On Thursday's episode, watch for the two women to find common ground. Lily's a daughter without parents. Amy is a mother without a son. Might these two women grow closer and form more of a familial bond to help them move forward in life? If Lily feels safe around Amy, she may also reach out to her for advice on how to deal with any residual feelings she may or may not have for Kane. Nobody fires a zinger back at someone better in Genoa City than have-not Audra Charles. But behind those barbs is a vulnerable woman who is hoping to find love. On Thursday's show, watch for Audra to try to get Nate, Sean Dominic, to give her another chance. Audra went out on a limb when she told Nate that she had conspired with Victor to break up Kyel and Claire. He couldn't accept that she could be so devious, which led to their split. Does Nate truly want to have a future without Audra, or will he give her a second chance? The Young and the Restless, recap for Wednesday, October 1st, reveals that Kyel Abbott will accuse Claire Newman of revenge, so Audra Charles will gloat over more damage. In the park, Kyel will suspect Claire wants to hurt him like he hurt her. After Kyel accuses Claire of making this about revenge, he'll mock her with clapping and suggest that Victor Newman would be proud. Claire will argue that she's simply going to let Holden Novak show her around Los Angeles since he's her friend. Kyel will be the one who's making this all about jealousy and his ego as far as Claire's concerned. Claire will also think Kyle's being hypocritical about Holden, considering what happened with Audra. When Audra appears nearby, she'll look delighted as she watches and listens to the fight. Kyel will insist he's trying to protect Claire from Holden and will wonder how she could be so blind. After Claire rants about how much damage Kyel did today, she'll stomp off and leave him to mope alone. Of course, it won't take long for Audra to approach Kyel and gloat about the confrontation she just witnessed. Kyel will call Audra poison, pathetic and disgusting, but she'll point out that he's the man-child who's sulking because he got dumped by his psycho girlfriend. After Kyel throws some blame Audra's way, she'll realize she actually pulled off her breakup mission for Victor after all. Audra will suggest she could use this to get her Vibrante funding back, so Kyel will dare her to try profiting off his pain and will vow to make her wish she'd never met him if she does. At Crimson Lights, Lauren Fenmore Baldwin will sit down with Nikki Newman and offer updates on Michael Baldwin working for Kane Ashby. That'll leave Lauren worried that Michael is tangled up with Victor as well, so she'll lash out at Nikki as she tries to get to the bottom of this. However, Lauren will eventually apologize since she'll appreciate Nikki's willingness to seek answers, even if Nikki can't control Victor any more than Lauren can control Michael. At Newman Enterprises, Michael will give Victor the news about Kane rescinding his employment offer, but he'll be convinced he can worm his way back in and make this work. When Jack Abbott walks in Victor's office, he'll be surprised to find Michael there. After Michael and Jack trade questions, they'll realize this is all about the fight against Kane. Victor will make his trust issues known when it comes to both Jack and Michael, but he'll find out Jill Abbott is arriving tomorrow and seem willing to move forward with a plan against Kane. Later, Nikki will bring Lauren's concerns to Victor, who'll play dumb about knowing Michael went to work for Kane. Victor won't confirm anything when it comes to Michael working for him either, but Nikki will definitely get the feeling that something is going on. At Society on Wednesday's Y&R episode, Lauren will butter Michael up with a romantic dinner until Nikki calls to admit she thinks Lauren's right. Lauren will confront Michael over his lie, so he'll admit to speaking with Victor about a Kane infiltration plot. Since Kane got suspicious and rescinded his offer, Michael won't think it matters now anyway. Lauren will wonder if Michael would still be back-channeling for Victor if Kane hadn't backed out, so Michael will admit that he indeed would be. That'll leave Lauren furious, so she'll storm out of the restaurant. The Young and the Restless spoilers say Michael and Lauren have more marriage issues ahead of them, so stay tuned. Now that Claire has broken up with Kyel on The Young and the Restless, it looks like he is going to spiral and most likely find an unhealthy way to nurse his broken heart. He doesn't have the best track record when it comes to relationships, and he usually reacts impulsively after a breakup, as we've seen in the past. So it feels like he could be headed down that road again. Here are 3 possible ways Kyel might react to Claire's shocking decision to end their relationship. Kyel had an affair with Audra a couple years ago, when he was furious that his wife Summer kept it a secret from him that her mother Phyllis faked her death. He told Summer the marriage was over, walked out on her, and jumped into bed with Audra. The Young and the Restless fans are expecting Kyel and Audra to have another fling, now that he's broken-hearted and vulnerable. He and Audra sure have been generating sparks galore with all their heated arguments over the past several weeks. Will he be predictable and turn to her again for comfort sex? Kyel is a hothead who doesn't trust Holden and doesn't want him anywhere near Claire. So maybe he will pull an Adam and make a spur-of-the-moment decision to fly to Los Angeles in an effort to protect Claire, the same way Adam made a spontaneous trip to France to warn his family that Kane was buying real estate in Genoa City. But what Adam did was a beneficial move that cemented his support and loyalty to his family. If Kyel flies to LA, it would be a counterproductive move, since it would only push Claire further away. After all, she did tell him she wants to be on her own for a while and be her own person. He would be disrespecting her wishes and invading her personal space by interfering with her trip and her friendship with Holden. But since Kyel acts without thinking sometimes, it's possible he may make a desperate and reckless move like that one. It would be wonderful if Kyel surprises us and decides he needs to find himself, just as Claire wants to find herself. But instead of traveling, maybe he could accomplish that goal by seeking therapy. It might help him put things in perspective. He could gain a better understanding of why he's had so many failed relationships and marriages at his young age. Therapy would give him an opportunity to take a breath after the breakup with Claire and do some self-reflection and soul-searching. Instead of obsessing over Claire, he could focus on self-care through his therapy sessions. and learn how to make better decisions for himself in his future romantic relationships. His parents, Jack and Diane, would surely back him up if he decides to seek therapy. They would be his strongest supporters because they just want their son to heal and grow in a positive way. If that means he needs to learn some hard truths about himself, then Jack and Diane would be all for it. This would be an unexpected turn of events for Kyel, something he's never been courageous enough to pursue in the past, and a great opportunity for his portayer, Michael Mealer, to show off his ample acting chops. Lauren's fury leaves Michael isolated, threatening his role in Genoa City's escalating power struggle. In the October 1st episode of The Young and the Restless, Lauren Fenmore reached a breaking point with Michael Baldwin, and her fury may have lasting consequences. By walking out on her husband after uncovering his continued loyalty to Victor Newman, Lauren didn't just jeopardize their marriage, she weakened Michael's standing in Genoa City's growing power war. Michael's history of serving as Victor's fixer has always come with personal costs. On this day, Lauren made it clear she had had enough. Lauren's accusation wasn't only about secrecy, it was about a cycle she's watched repeat for decades, where Victor's schemes consume Michael and pull him further from the life they built together. With Kane now moving into position as a common threat, Michael's inability to fully sever ties to Victor looks less like loyalty and more like a liability. Lauren's walkout underscored how precarious Michael's position has become. Professionally, he is caught between Victor's demands, Kane's maneuvering, and Jack's fragile truce with Victor. Personally, he no longer has his wife's trust. Without Lauren's support, Michael loses not just a partner, but one of the few stabilizing forces that anchored him outside of Newman's orbit. That isolation could make him more vulnerable than ever to manipulation, or push him to reckless choices in an effort to prove himself indispensable. Lauren's decision also carries ripple effects beyond her marriage. Nikki, Jack, and Jill are all watching closely as alliances harden against Kane. Michael's credibility in those circles now looks compromised. Can Jack and Victor rely on him when even his wife won't? Lauren's fury has exposed a fracture that could undermine Michael's usefulness in the battles ahead. What remains to be seen is whether Michael can regain trust, or whether his role in Genoa City's power struggle has been permanently diminished. The Young and the Restless spoilers reveal that Jack Abbott and Diane Abbott will plot against Victor Newman, even after joining forces with him to take down Kane Ashby. Will Jack finally get the best of Victor? Jack suggested this partnership to keep Kane from taking over either Jabot or Newman Enterprises. However, Kane wants Chancellor Enterprises as well. Jack doesn't want Nikki Newman to lose Chancellor. Jack will do anything to help Nikki, but Victor, not so much. Victor doesn't deserve Jack's support. Jack knows that Victor will turn on him in a heartbeat. Victor has already asked Kane to go after Jabot for him before so they could be partners. However, it seems that Kane isn't about to do what he was asked. Kane has plans to take down as well, and Jack believes only a united front will bend Kane at his own game. Diane is not happy with Jack's idea of working with Victor. Diane believed Jack was crazy to come up with this plan. However, if they are going to do this, Diane wants to make sure that they get what they need out of it. Diane wants to prove to Victor that he has no right to look down on Jack the way he does. Victor truly needs Jack to get the best of him just once. Nikki isn't happy with Victor's plan to turn on Jack once this is over. Nikki also prefers that Jill not be involved either. Victor does not want to hear Nikki's defense of Jack. Victor plans on showing Jack just who the better man is, and he is convinced that will never be Jack. Jack plans to show Victor that he is not as powerful as he would like to think. Victor believes that Jack didn't work for his money, that he doesn't deserve it. Victor has always felt that same about Billy Abbott as well. Jack knows that Billy is not going to get his head together until Victor is put in his place. Is Jack in this for Billy as well? Jack and Diane may actually be able to pull this off if the Majthai put their heads together. Will Victor finally become a victim of his own game? Is this the time that Victor has overestimated his power? Could Jack finally pull off something that his father would have done and finally put Victor in his place once and for all? The Young and the Restless, spoilers for Wednesday, October 1st, hint at some explosive moments in the land of Genoa City. Someone is holding out information, while another resists falling into old habits, and a character places her friend in a tough position. What's on the horizon for Wednesday's show? Time to find out. No surprise here, right? The Young and the Restless, spoilers for Wednesday, October 1st, indicate that Victor Newman will play his cards close to his chest when it comes to his new partnership with Jack Abbott. The Mustache and Jackie have one of the best and longest rivalries in the land of daytime drama, so it'll be hard for either of them to fully trust the other. With that said, can they truly place their differences aside to bring Kane Ashby down? Not if Victor doesn't disclose everything to his new ally. This partnership may be doomed. Across town, Michael Baldwin will fall into old habits. This is likely about Victor and working for the Mustache. While he failed at this attempt to get intel from Kane, Michael did show his loyalty by putting his neck on the line for Victor, once again. So will Newman have a new assignment for his trusted attorney? Will Michael agree to take it on? Speaking of Michael and the Mustache, The Young and the Restless, spoilers for Wednesday, reveal that Lauren Baldwin will place Nikki Newman in a tough position. This is about her fear that Michael is working for Victor again, and her worry that he could be in danger. She may ask Nikki to tell Victor to back off, but will Nikki be able to do this? If Victor turns to Michael, it may be to involve him in the plan to bring Kane down, which is something Nikki wants. So will she agree to help Lauren? Victor, Nikki, and Jack need all the help they can get. What storyline are you most looking forward to during Wednesday's show? Comment below. Tune into the CBS Soap Daily and check out SOS often for the best Young and the Restless updates, spoilers, and news. The Young and the Restless spoilers for September 29th, October 17th reveal that while Victoria Newman is supposed to be holding down the fort in Genoa City, she ends up chasing Claire Newman to LA in hopes of stopping her from making a big mistake. Noah Newman will run into some chaos at his club opening, while Nick Newman and Sharon Newman will get a huge fright. Jack Abbott and Victor Newman's deal gets underway, including bringing Jill Abbott to handle Kane Ashby and Billy Abbott. Sally Spectra will seek Jill's help in her relationship with Billy as well. Can Jill get her boys under control? Billy will no doubt rebel against his mother's interference, as Kane tries to lie his way out of trouble when Jill questions his plans. Meanwhile, Jack and Victor will continue to work against Kane, leaving him with his work cut out for him, since they have joined forces to stop him. Will Jack and Victor manage to stop Kane's takeover plot? Audra Charles will try once more to convince Nate Hastings to give her another chance. However, Nate is officially done with Audra and her lies and wants nothing else to do with her. Will Audra seek out an old flame for a shoulder to cry on and a warm bed since hers has grown rather cold? Kyel Abbott is going to be beside himself now that Claire has broken up with him and left town with Holden Novak. Victoria doesn't trust Holden and will likely catch a ride with Nick and Sharon on the Newman jet as they rush off to help Noah with his new club. Can Victoria stop Audra from making a big mistake? Victoria knows that Claire wants to live a little and experience some things that she hasn't so far. However, that does not mean that Victoria is going to be okay with Claire hopping a plane to LA with Holden. Victoria doesn't know a lot about Holden, but what she does know is concerning. Can Victoria get through to Claire before it's too late? Kyel and Audra will both be drinking their sorrows away after being dumped yet again. Will Kyel and Audra end up in each other's beds once again? Will these two lean on each other for comfort now that their significant others have abandoned them along the way? Would anyone be surprised to see these two hit the hay again? Meanwhile, Tessa Porter and Daniel Romalotti investigate the hotel that Mariah Copeland lost her head in. Will they find something to clear Mariah? Tamara Braun will appear on October 14th as Sienna Bacall, who runs a Hollywood club, and she may not be happy with having a new one anywhere near. Noah had spoke with someone about opening a new club there and truly wants to get it up and running as soon as possible. Noah hopes that this will be a lucrative deal. However, it seems like Noah will get tangled up in a mess instead. Nick and Sharon are going to be scared for Noah and his safety after learning that he is mixed up with Sienna, Roger Howarth's character, and Detective Burrow. Claire broke up with Kyel and wants to find herself in Los Angeles, with Holden. Is she acting impulsively or intentionally? Claire shocked the young and the restless audience when she pulled the plug on her relationship with Kyel. She realized that she's too young to commit to a serious relationship. However, she has Holden on her mind, which hasn't helped matters lately. Interestingly enough, she's acting both intentionally and impulsively about her decision. Claire proved that she's a dynamic and complex character. The ex-murderer worked on herself to be freed from the late great-aunt Jordan. Then, she proved that she fits in just fine with the Newman family. In a shocking twist, Claire ended her relationship with Kyel. Will Claire regret her decision on Wyatt R? She saw him differently after he kissed Audra in Nice. Claire made this decision intentionally because she's self-aware that this is her first relationship. She has no idea whether she truly loves Kyel. Will absence make Claire's heart grow fonder? Claire also realized that she needs to discover who she is before she makes any other commitments. Also, Claire is acting impulsively. She ended things with Kyel on a whim, without considering what everyone would think of her swift decision, especially their respective families. Claire also grew tired of hearing Kyle's many apologies, which failed to prove that he was giving her the space she needed. She told him that she needed time to think about everything that transpired, but Kyel tried to call the shots in their relationship. Claire is also acting impulsively because of her growing feelings for Holden. His charm and good looks have her wondering if she needs more experience. She's been drawn to his mysterious and dangerous side ever since they drank Vespers together. She's probably hoping that Holden will bring out a new side to her. Obviously, Claire wants to go through a phase where she thinks for herself, even if that means she'll make mistakes and break hearts along the way. Either way, we're excited to see where this journey will lead her. Do you think Claire is acting impulsively or intentionally? Let us know in the comments section. Audra and Holden's past comes back to haunt them. Sienna Bacall is coming to The Young and the Restless. The new character will debut on October 14th, and she's bound to shake up Genoa City. A few people who might not be happy to see Sienna are Audra and Holden. Sienna's debut is quickly looming. While her storyline is being kept under wraps, Braun did drop clues in a recent interview with TV Guide. The actress revealed that her character runs a Hollywood club, and there's a mystery around her. While Sienna could be connected to any Genoa City characters, Audra and Holden are the likely candidates. Audra and Holden lived in Los Angeles one time and found themselves in a tough predicament. From what's been revealed so far, Audra got into trouble and Holden helped cover up her mess. Holden also mentioned to Claire that what he and Audra did was illegal. Audra and Holden's lives will be ruined if their secret comes out, which is why they want to keep it under wraps. However, their secret might be exposed with Holden and Claire's upcoming trip to LA. While the trip is supposed to be fun for Holden, it'll turn into a nightmare when he sees a blast from his past. When Sienna learns that Holden is in town, a confrontation will ensue between the two. Sienna holds the key to exposing Holden and Audra's crime, and if Holden doesn't cooperate, she'll make his life hell. Holden will be caught between a rock and a hard place. With him desperate to keep the secret hidden, he'll be forced to work with Audra. As much as Audra detests the idea, she'll have to team with Holden to cover their tracks. While Audra thinks she's smart, she and Holden may be outwitted by Sienna. Audra gloated after overhearing Kyel and Claire's post-split conversation. Audra didn't hold back on her feelings about Claire and Kyle's relationship on The Young and the Restless. She felt that she had won this fight. But did she really? Claire broke up with Kyel, and he's angry about it. The two argued about it at Chancellor Park. Kyel asked Claire if it had something to do with Holden, whom she's grown close to. However, Claire maintained that she's never made decisions for herself. She needs to figure out who she is since she's been brainwashed and groomed for much of her life. Meanwhile, Audra walked into the park and overheard their conversation. She looked delighted with herself as she realized something. Audra is on cloud 9 because her seduction plot worked after all. She kissed Kyel in Nice, and Claire can't trust him. So, now she's running off to Los Angeles with Holden. After Claire left, Audra walked over to a jilted Kyel, who sat on the park bench. She couldn't stop smiling. She was glad that his girlfriend finally dumped him. This suggests that Victor was right about Kyel all along. It didn't take long for Audra to bring up their kiss in Nice. She could tell there was still chemistry between them, especially when he couldn't resist her. And lo and behold, she was able to break up Kyel and Claire. Audra joked that Kyel should put it in writing to ensure she receives funding from Victor. She won, after all. Her plan worked. But Kyel didn't want to hear about it. It just took several months to make it happen. So, does this mean that Audra should get Vibrante? What does this mean for her? Will she make her move on Kyel now that he's newly single?